Good evening, welcome back to In the Khud. This is December 10th, 2022, 7 p.m. And firstly, addressing the fact that yesterday I did not upload a video and the documentation session did not happen because yesterday until 9 o'clock I was working for the full-time job, and as a result I didn't even go to the gym, which was very disappointing in a lot of ways because really going to the gym is the only kind of recreational activity I have. Like that 1 hour of, it's almost like I've always considered it therapy. Like I don't have any bodybuilding goals as such because I don't want to eat as much as is required. I just want to stay healthy, but I consider the workout session less like 1 hour of therapy, which is so important. But I did stretch for like 30 minutes or so instead, which is okay. In today's episode, I have to address yesterday and today's, like what happened in life basically. I think I have a Notion tab for yesterday. I wrote down a meditation practice thanks to Swami Sarvapriyananda's lectures on the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 16. The way Adi Shankaracharya interprets this verse is, every experience we have is in fact two experiences. Consider seeing. I am currently seeing my Sony headphones, which are lying on the desk, and the second experience. So one is the experience of seeing the headphone, and the second experience, which we always take for granted, is that the headphone is. It's a very subtle point, so requires thinking with a clear mind. Along with every experience, there is an experience of that experience or object being. In our experiences, objects can change. I can be seeing the AC remote on the desk instead, the Wacom tablet instead, or listening to the keyboard clicks as I type. But the second experience of that does not change. This is constant. And that is the beingness. The presence is something every object of your experience is borrowing from you. I am that is. If I, the real I, was not here, all these experiences would also not be here, since they have nothing to borrow isness from. It's the idea of something being an intrinsic property and something being a borrowed property. The potato is hot, but it wasn't hot earlier and it won't stay hot much later. The potato borrowed the heat from the boiling water. The same, I should have it here instead. Same is the case with the boiling water, which borrows its heat from the pan. Same is the case with the pan, which borrows its heat from the fire. But the fire does not borrow its heat from anywhere. Heat is an intrinsic property of fire. Similarly, isness or existence is my intrinsic property. Everything else in the universe comes into existence, borrows its existence from me. Now, the meditation practice I've been doing for the past 2 days is this. In the middle of the day, when there's a lot of activity going on, or whenever it comes to the front of the mind really, I try to look at a thing around me and divide the seeing experience into two experiences of that thing being seen and that thing is. Sounds pretty simple and benign almost, but I found it helps me ground in awareness and bring in a deep sense of calm and presence. That's one meditation practice. Like right now, I'm looking at the phone, which is the camera, which is looking at me. So there is this experience of looking at the camera, and there is an experience of that camera is. So it's got nothing to do with anything, but just the fact that that isness is a reflection of me. That way I can see a reflection of the real I inside everything. And I think this is really what they mean when they say God is everything and God is in everything, because that real I is no different than God in the ultimate perspective. So yeah, this is one good practice, and I wrote about this yesterday morning. I woke up at 7:45, took snowy down oatmeal. 10:20 starting of the day with some episodes of show 2 gives me a nice productivity head start. We'll get to the hero video post that. 12:02 making 3 episodes, uploading 5 episodes, switching to the hero video. Now post that, the entire day was spent not just figuring out the hero video, but I think there are like 3 or 4 other videos that I worked on through the course of the day. So it was a pretty heavy full-time job day. And with the hero video, the biggest thing that happened is I got on a call in the morning, and the entire thing that I was thinking about doing it in Blender and 2.5/3D animation, that wouldn't work because the reference that was shared with me was a collage art and reference, and so they were basically expecting collage art transitions and animations. I did not do the project in Blender. I went back to my trusty companion, my trusty backup, that is After Effects, and the entire project was made in After Effects. I'm gonna show you the video because there isn't much to show, but there is one thing I really struggled with yesterday. Is like for every single, like there were a bunch of plants and everything which had to have that kind of waving animation on them. So for each of those I had to manually add grow bounds effect, and then I had to manually add the bend it effect and have those end point and start points match, and then bend it by like 5 degrees here and there, and then loop out ping pong it. So this entire process I had to do like I think 20, 25 or 30 times, and I wish I just had a script, like select a layer and I press a button on the script and that whole process just gets done, because bend it is really very powerful, and this is something which just adds a lot of flair to the animation in general, because all they want is like a little subtle movement happening everywhere, so the animation doesn't look boring in a sense. So that is one big thing that I take away from this hero video, is gonna have a script for Bend It and all that stuff. That's pretty much all. It was pretty intensive as far as full-time job is concerned. Today morning I woke up and I have done up until now 10 episodes for show 2. Actually, I woke up at 8:30 or so. I took Snowy down and then I came up and slept, because it's a day off, right? So, and yesterday was like a pretty heavy day until night, so I just like slept until 11 or so, and then I woke up and like easily saw things on YouTube and stuff like those, and yeah, basically did nice good 10 episodes of show 2, and that's where we are. I haven't uploaded any episode because there are some queries that have to be addressed. Man, queries are so bad. They just put the entire process of uploading on hold and I cannot do anything about it. However, just like before recording this, I just had a random idea of how about I take a comic book like Adventures of Tintin and try recreating this with the Blender 2.5 3D style. Oh man. And more importantly, I want to be doing this in 3D, because if you think about it, there is a 2D cartoon for this entire series, and that's like the exact art style and everything. So it's no point making a 2D animation because it already exists, so it doesn't serve any purpose. But imagine if I could make this in like all these things which are like buildings and everything, they don't need to be modeled. They can just be like lanes that are spaced apart in 3D. But the real model here, and this obviously could be a 3D stair, and real model of Tintin is 3D and rigged in 3D, and so I don't have to think about how the designs would be. I just animate that 3D character going up and down, and even for Snowy and all of this, like there is a dog rigging and everything in Cubic World's course, so it shouldn't be a problem at all. Making this in 3D with obviously some grease pencil elements, like the car is going, like I don't want to have smoke simulation, please. We'll just have like cartoony smoke from grease pencil and all these like styles and everything. It is a very fascinating idea. Like over here, this thing could be a 3D model, and yeah, and I think I should really do this, because it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a great practice. It's gonna be walking animation. This, like putting effort into something like this, is something that, and I obviously have the animator survival kit whenever I need to like go back to the basics, kind of like an encyclopedia which you refer to time and again when you need help. But working on real life projects like these and like seeing it come to life, that is something that's gonna really A, keep me motivated, B, keep me interested in learning and doing more and more and more. Like these eek and ows, that like could basically be a comic book only. So this will all be text and like written down in grease pencil and everything, but it will be in 3D. A 3D comic book animation. Man, this is like a very unique idea in itself, so really looking forward to what can be done here. That's it. That's pretty much what I had to document in this session. Oh, before I forget, there is one thing I need to address, is someone was very kind enough to actually leave a comment on my previous video. So this video, unable to figure 3D, Obi-Wan Kenobi has left a comment. Try to use extreme focal length. Currently looks like you're using 50mm. You could then also use depth of field and the angle the layer a little. Agree on that. Yes, we can change the focal length, and then that thing going through you wouldn't see that. But there's one more reply which says you could also try to use a second camera to project the texture on a spherical object. There's a lot of videos about that on YouTube. This is something that I had addressed in this video itself, that over here, I think somewhere here, I addressed the fact that these, I can project it on a sphere, but when I will go through with the camera, you will basically see like a balloon underneath, which is why I want to actually model these crevices and troughs in the actual geometry mesh itself. But regardless, thank you so much for the comment. It's just kind of weird every time I get a comment on In the Khud, because I do not put out content on this channel expecting it to be seen, but YouTube algorithm is like, okay, let's see if this content is something that someone else is interested in. So thank you for taking your time to comment. I really appreciate it. I think that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for being In the Khud. I will catch you on Monday. Peace.